Affirmative action
policies
is
addressing racism. They seem
affirmative
really
action
related.
is again.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you are. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Affirmative action is largely federal government hiring practices and the adjacent institutions. I think that all communities will do even better when we stop living under the soft bigotry of low expectations. Inherent in your argument is that we have to pander to certain communities based on the color of their skin because they can't do as well as white people. I reject the premise.
It's not necessarily understanding, because if you focus primarily on race, I don't think people understand that black people can be rich.
No homo. I did have a question. Something I don't find very interesting about you, something I find kind of repulsive, is that I believe you said that the Civil Rights Act was bad and that we shouldn't have that.
Okay. Well,
thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like you as much as Charlie, though.
First of all, what's your name?
Sorry. I don't want to be like filmed and stuff.
Too late.
I'm anonymous, number one. Anonymous guy.
Okay. Well, hello. Nice to meet you, anonymous guy.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. I believe in part of the essence of the Civil Rights Act went way too far, way too wide.
Oh, how did it go too far?
Well, for example, it created an entire civil rights Leviathan that gave us affirmative action.
Civil rights Leviathan? What do you mean?
Yeah, so if you can let me finish three words in.
Sorry.
It allowed the Department of Justice to go after people that have different skin color, aka white people, and prevent them from getting jobs in college admissions.
You have a job.
I'm sorry?
You have a job.
No, you're right, I do. Right, but just to...
So this debate is for the Civil Rights Act. Let me know how you all feel about the Civil Rights Act. I would have never thought society would get to a point where we're debating the Civil Rights Act, which is primarily an act to literally go against any form of racial discrimination. But that's kind of where society is at the moment. We're all divided, and race has become one of the things to divide us. But anyways, let me not say too much. My name is LFR JoJo. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's continue.
Until Trump came around, until the Supreme Court decision, thanks to the Civil Rights Act, if you have white skin color, it's much harder to get into a college than if someone has black skin color. Much harder. You have to get higher test scores. It's a much harder pool, largely thanks to the precedent set by the Civil Rights Act. Not to mention all the trans stuff, and they use the Civil Rights Act to justify it.
Okay, I think I see where you're coming from. So you think that it's harder for white people because black people they can have lower tech scores again?
It's not what I think. It's the fact.
That's what you're saying. Okay. All right. Well, I guess what I would say too. I think perhaps you're familiar with the term equity, right? Where different people have different circumstances.
It's
which
Marxism.
leads to different outcomes.
I reject.
Okay. Well, whether you reject it or not, I think it's a prescient concept in this argument. Because what you have to understand is that when for example, you're born in like a black neighborhood, you're born in like O Block or something, like a very, like a, you don't know what O Block is? Oh, well, if you're born there, if you're born in a very poor area like that, with like very low economic opportunity, very, very poor schools with very low ratings, where the average test score is much lower, when you're in that environment, you have the whole system up against you, right? So when you say in that kind of circumstance, when you're facing the whole, I guess, Leviathan of systemic racism, so would you say that? Sorry, let me just finish it. When you say it's fair to, for example, lower the standard because knowing that their circumstances were like that, perhaps based on what they had, what was presented to them, they had the correct amount of merit to get into a school.
Okay, so are you a student here? I'm guessing you are.
Oh, yeah, I'm a student here.
Are you a pretty good student?
Oh, yeah, I would say I'm a good student. I have a pretty high GPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give your GPA to her because she's a woman of color, please?
Oh, well, you want me to give you I mean, I can.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, sure.
You cool with that?
Yeah,
so,
I'm fine. Wait, you mean
I want you...
Like tell her or like give it to her?
By force.
Like
so
we're swapping it.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do. By force, white man.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to take your GPA. I'm going to give it to a woman of color.
Okay.
You're cool with that?
I mean, yeah, I can just work back up. Like,
No. If you guys don't know me, which a lot of you probably do at this point, I got a full ride to undergrad. I got obviously a full ride to a master's program where I'm getting a master's in electronics engineering. Right now, I'll be an electronics engineer in less than a month with a master's degree. When you push a narrative that says you're okay with lowering the standard for a specific race of people, whether or not you agree or disagree with this stance, what you're really saying is that this race or group of people are inferior to me. Whether or not you think you're saying that, because what are you going to say if you see a black student at this school? Even if you think you're the most loving person ever, people are going to assume that they got lower test scores to be there. People are going to assume that they had a lower GPA to be there. And what does that mean? People are going to assume that they're less deserving to be there. This is the number one problem with this narrative. This is the number one problem. Because I remember... Actually, I'm not going to go down that path. I'll just say, you think you're making a benefit, you think you're helping people, but you're not really. When it comes to black students going to these universities, the problem is that they have certain racial quotas that schools try to meet. However, since we all know, every generation or every culture does not have the same cultural standards. Some cultures prefer certain practices over another, but they don't take that into account when they're picking up students, leading to lower grades and SAT scores for one demographic over another. And when you push this narrative, you're basically saying, oh, it's okay to do that. And I'm not saying that people don't deserve any form of equity ever at all, because on my channel, I've been known to say that we do need to put more emphasis towards lower earning communities. Not saying racial, but lower earning communities. I would be okay if they got some form of something, because I don't think we do it right now as a society. However, pushing this narrative that just because you're black, you deserve some type of equity when it comes to college admissions, it's not really helpful to me. It's not a helpful narrative. And I'm saying that as a college graduate, someone getting a master's degree, I don't think it's helpful.
No, there's no working back
bro,
up.
I can pull myself up by my bootstraps.
No, there's no working back up.
What do you mean you can't work back up? That's the whole point of conservatism, isn't it?
I'm gonna keep on taking it from you because that's equity. And you're cool with that.
What? But that's not
this is equity in practice.
Equity isn't taking. Equity is applying the equal standard.
If you give, how do you get? You must take, and then you give.
Wait, what do you mean?
That which is given must first be taken.
Well, what's being taken?
Well, in this case, grades from you to grades to her.
No one's taking my grades though. That's not what affirmative action is.
Hold on a second.
No one takes your grades.
Hold on a second. If you only have so many, you only have so many positions at University of South Florida to come in, right? There's a set number. Let's say it's 20,000 people, okay? And we're gonna say we're gonna lower the test standards so that somebody that's a woman of color can come in, and therefore it's harder for you. So it's a higher bar for you, lower bar for them. Definitionally, that's a redistribution of test scores to somebody else, just by the definition. And you're okay with that?
Well, I guess I would ask then, if we were to do what you're doing, I guess that's what's happening under Trump, right?
Well, no, it's actually been happening the last 40 years.
Okay, actually, yeah, whatever. Okay, so when you say that, if you do that, then, well, black people aren't going to get into school, and then they won't be able to uplift themselves, they won't be able to have prosperous families, they won't be able to, equalize.
What are you talking about? And this is, bro, I keep saying it over and over again. This narrative makes people think black people are stupid and they're incapable. That's not the case. I don't want to get too emotional about this. I don't want to get too angry about this because at the end of the day, he's a student. But removing affirmative action will not stop black people from getting in schools. You do realize that, right? I hope you do. He thinks that if they remove affirmative action for black people, we'll be barred from entering schools. We'll just fall into decay. We're too incapable to get a good SAT score. Meaning, I told myself how to study for the SAT, by the way. I really did. I tutored myself for the SAT. So I'm not just speaking out the side of my neck. I have an undergraduate degree in optical engineering. I'm getting a graduate degree in electronics engineering right now. I'm not speaking out the side of my neck. We are capable if we decide to do it, because race does not determine intellect, because we're still humans.
The economic status, because you need to give them a little jump start. You know what? You have a car, right?
How is that? Well, no, now I know who you are.
No, it's good.
But no, how has that worked the last 40 years? We've had robust affirmative action. No. We've had hiring practices. Has it made black America more successful?
I can answer that easily. It's because sorry. It's because sorry. What am I going for? Oh,
I don't know.
You're a funny guy. So what happened is, even after the Civil Rights Act, you know what I believe the term is massive resistance. It was a movement in after the Broad versus Board of Education in Virginia, where essentially the legislature, which was still white supremacist, which is still extremely racist, they decided that no, we're going to do everything that feasibly possible within our means to stop black people from going to white schools. You even see this in I believe it was the Little Rock Nine, right? Even after it was legalized at the state level, white supremacist mobs still mobilized to prevent it. So even if it de facto it's gone, de jure it still exists.
Let me ask you a very simple question. A term you keep on throwing around.
Got you.
What is racism?
What is racism? Ooh, that's a very complicated question. But
no, it's not.
I mean, there's a simple answer, and then there's the highly theoretical answer.
Give me the simple.
The simple answer will essentially be because we have like different skin colors, that he's treated a different way than me. He has like a different upbringing than me.
No. But what is racism in practice?
It's discrimination.
Based on the color of the skin.
Based on the color of the skin, yeah.
Got it, thank you. So isn't it racist then to penalize white people to come into college or to get jobs based on the color of their skin?
Well, no.
Wouldn't that be racist? So you're arguing for a very racist policy, which is that we should actively discriminate against people based on the color of their skin, which is affirmative action in DEI in practice.
I just disagree with the premise that you can do like anti-white racism because
Wait, can you be racist against white people?
No, bro, I'm a cracker, bro. What the No, you can't be racist.
All right, I don't think he's serious. And to him, this debate is a joke. To me, this debate is not a joke because it will actually affect my life and communities of people who look just like me. He thinks it's a game because whatever happens in this discussion, he believes it won't affect him. I'll say this. I say remove it. Remove it. Because all this narrative is doing is pushing very, very, very harmful stereotypes. All it's doing is causing racial divide. I don't see the productivity in this. Let everyone have a fair chance. Let them have it. Because all that's going to happen is people who do or don't get into a school, people who don't get into a school are going to assume they didn't get in because someone who's black got in over them who didn't deserve it. So it's going to only lead to more racism for the black students at certain schools. But if we remove this, there will be no question on who deserves to be somewhere, who doesn't deserve it. Remove it. He's basically joking around about racism. He thinks it's funny. He thinks this is a joke. He's not serious. And it's really starting to piss me off, if I'm being honest, but let's continue.
This is bro, there's so many crackers here, bro. There's your clip, bro. There's your clip. Well, what are you gonna do political violence to me, bro? Like, why are you saying that to me? You're making me scared. Okay.
So let me tell you what we believe, because you tell us what you believe.
Okay.
Your worldview is indistinguishable from the KKK. That you want to organize the world based on skin color. We want to organize the world based on merit and character, based on how hard you work, what you bring to the table. I believe it's destructive and wrong to say that people are going to be organized or have their future set based on the color of their skin. I think it's tribalistic. I think it is divisive, and I think it hurts the excellence of a country. You asked a question, well, how are we going to help other communities? You know how you help other communities? Stop pandering to them and start treating them like individuals made in the image of God, not tribes to be organized for political purposes.
Okay, so do you think, like, when Trump is now he's president, now that racism is gone now because Trump is back and we're no longer pandering, right? Do you think that the conditions of black people do you think O Block is going to become like a much nicer place? Do you think that these very downturned sort of black neighborhoods that have been sort of left behind, do you think they're going to become revitalized now? Is that what you think is going to happen?
Yeah, they'll do better for sure.
Do you think they're going to do better? Now that we've stopped helping them, they're going to do better.
Well, see, that's an interesting thing.
Because that seems like contradictory to me, just on basic logic.
Well, actually, black Americans under Donald Trump in the first term saw the greatest economic renaissance that they saw since the 1950s.
You don't think
highest
that's due to
wage
Obama,
increases, lowest unemployment, revitalization, amazing investment in their communities, opportunity zones.
But that's when we had affirmative action, so wouldn't that be bad?
Well, again, we actually got rid of affirmative action now.
But that was now, but I'm talking about before.
Those are unrelated things, though, just to be perfectly clear.
They don't seem unrelated to me.
Well, affirmative action is...
policies addressing racism. They seem
affirmative action is, again...
So, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you are. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Affirmative action is largely federal government hiring practices and the adjacent institutions. I think that all communities will do even better when we stop living under the soft bigotry of low expectations. Inherent in your argument is that we have to pander to certain communities based on the color of their skin because they can't do as well as white people. I reject the premise. I think that we should try to say, I don't care about the color of your skin. I care about what you bring to the table. And stop pandering to people based on special criteria, points, and acceptance to college, saying that we're going to make it easier for one group and harder for another group.
I don't think it's pandering, though. I think it's understanding.
Okay, but let me...
It's not necessarily understanding, because if you focus primarily on race, I don't think people understand that black people can be rich. I think that's the biggest thing. They don't think black people can be rich. They don't. Y'all know, I'm going to speak for myself. I grew up in a 2-parent household. Everyone in my family has a car. Everyone. My brother has his own house. My sister is married to a dentist. My parents own 2 homes. I'm an engineer. They really think black people can't have money. That's the problem. They think black people are broke. And the reason I bring that up is because money is one of the biggest advantages you can have. When you have just pure affirmative action, you only look at race. Do you realize that will positively impact Barack Obama's kids? That will make their lives better if you only look at race. Meanwhile, they're rich and they're the daughters of the president. All I'm trying to get to, I'm not trying to attack anyone at all. All I'm trying to say is that primarily or only looking at race implies that black people don't have any other advantage. Like, we don't get private tutors. Like, we don't know what it's like to go to private schools. Do you realize white people can be poor? White people can struggle too. Like, they can not have money and not have tutors and not have access to books. But this whole debate basically negates that. They ignore rich black people, they ignore poor white people, and they ignore every other race. They ignore all of them. Just ignore them. Maybe it's a hierarchy of races. I don't know. But let's continue.
Do you think that circumstances are working based on that?
Do you think that we should have black-only dormitories in America?
No. Why would I want that?
Okay, well, there's hundreds of schools that have those, actually.
What do you mean black only? Like, they're not. White people are not allowed in.
No,
at
white
all.
people are not allowed.
White people. Yeah, that's why I said white people are not allowed in.
Correct. We have black-only graduation ceremonies across the country.
Well, those are from well, I believe those are most likely like HBCUs, right?
No,
like
the University of Michigan has one,
has
Yale has one, Harvard has one. So we're agreeing that is wrong. That is the furthest extension of hyper race obsession. So you could choose one or the other. You can be race obsessed or merit obsessed. We as conservatives decide to be merit obsessed, to build a country based on how hard you work and what you're able to deliver.
Okay. Well, so wait here. Just I wasn't.
Final point.
Oh yeah, final point. Sure. Okay. Here, this thing's a little close. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend your wonderful setup here. Yeah. So I guess I'll just restate my point that I don't believe you mentioned like all black dormitories, right? I mean, I don't really comment on that. I mean, I don't know if that's real. To me, that sounds fake, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here.
It's very real.
Okay. But I just think it's a very irrelevant kind of like aesthetic focused thing. It doesn't really affect the material conditions of like black people.
If you heard there were white-only dormitories, there'd be marching in the streets, right?
Oh, well, because okay, I get
What's the difference?
The difference is, like, for example, if you want to go back to segregation, the all-white dormitory was nice as and the all-black one was So if that was brought back, okay, if we were to do an all-white dormitory and an all-black
I'm not recommending it. I think actually segregation is wrong and evil, and we're heading, until Donald Trump, we were heading in that direction.
But like, okay, I'll go back to, because I let it slip by, but you mentioned that like, in the early years of the Donald Trump presidency, right, that the conditions for the employment and stuff were going up for black people. What I would say is the economy works slow. It works at like a time dilation for when a policy is initially enacted. So what I would probably assume, based on what you said to me, is that it was the Obama era policies that actually led to that, and not the Trump policies, because stuff like tax cuts for the rich doesn't really help.
In a year from now, we're going to have the greatest economy ever. They're going to say it's all Biden. It's all Biden.
I do hope we have a great economy in a year. Let me know what you all think about this video in the comments below. It's LFR JoJo, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.